in their respective countries and the Gambia. They later spoke to waiting journalists.
I just met His Excellency the President. I presented my credentials as an ambassador to the Gambia yesterday, and I had a very fruitful exchange with His Excellency on relations between the Gambia and Denmark. Our common interests in commerce and development, in tourism, and this was a very successful exchange. I'm very content.
I was pleased to have the honor to meet the President the presentation of my credential, and we stress in this meeting the excellent relation we have between the Gambia and Belgium, mainly based on a very good people-to-people relationship. And also, we stress the importance to further develop those cooperation for the interest of both parties. We had also a long discussion about the important relation we have not only with Belgium, also with European Union, and the need to speak with respect and to listen to each other. We have put on in a dialogue. Dialogue is important. I think we stress the importance of dialogue in the relation between the people, between the countries.
I and His Excellencies, the President, discuss and exchange views regarding the economic cooperation by and large between the two countries for the mutual benefit of the two sides. And of course, we will continue carry on our idea and make it into a concrete result.
You've seen a long partnership between the Gambia and the Kingdom of Thailand.
Yes, it's a very good time indeed for me and for the Gambian side. I believe that we have this day so that we can sit and talk again tomorrow in the near future, and so that we can conclude things to be done together.
All right, thank you, Your Excellency.
Earlier in the day, the diplomats presented their letters of credence to the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi. The foreign diplomats were at State House to present their letters of credence to the country's leadership. Samuel Ba has more on that.
The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, on Tuesday received 3 more letters of credence from new ambassadors to the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. The top diplomats are His Excellency Skanda Dengueli of the Republic of Tunisia, His Excellency Philippe Collin of the Kingdom of Belgium, and His Excellency Wijak Shitarat of the Kingdom of Thailand. The Tunisian top diplomat has pledged to work closely with Banjul in diverse areas of the economy.
Tunisia, like Gambia, are 2 small countries, and of course it's easier when you are 2 small countries to develop very close, very clear relations. So we had many fields where we can reinforce our relations. For example, higher education and scientific research, education in general, health, vocational training, trade and industry. When I say industry, I'm speaking about joint ventures between the private sector of Gambia and the private sector of Tunisia.
Ambassador Collin of the Kingdom of Belgium also pledged to engage Banjul on issues of common interest and work towards strengthening existing bilateral ties between Banjul and Brussels.
We have between the Gambia and Belgium, based on very good, excellent people-to-people relation in the business community, also at the level of NGOs cooperation, and also to mention the excellent cooperation. We have also at the official level with the cooperation between local entities, provinces and cities. And I would like to mention here the very fruitful cooperation, the twinnings program between the city of Banjul and the Belgian city of Ostend.
According to Ambassador Sitarat, Banjul and Bangkok share similar socio-cultural links and therefore have a lot more to share. The Asian diplomat hinted that agriculture, fisheries and health could be possible areas of cooperation.
We have some basic elements shared with the Gambia. That is, our country and the Gambia is very similar to develop in terms of agriculture, fishery, and that's the area we are keen enough. We're also keen in public health. So this is the area, few areas that we could offer to the Gambian side and to work together for the benefit of the two countries.
Tuesday's diplomatic engagement at the State House saw the second batch of foreign ambassadors at the presidency, an indication of the country's strong commitment to maintaining bilateral cooperation. Samuel Ba, GRTS.
Still on that front, another 2 new diplomats have presented their letters of credence to the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi, at the State House. They were the ambassadors of Israel and Malaysia. Aissatou Keita reports.
They are the latest diplomats to present their letters of credence to the Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi. The 2 ambassadors, namely His Excellency Paul Hirshin and Her Excellency Madam Sharina Abdullah from the State of Israel and the Republic of Malaysia, respectively, are set to join their colleague ambassadors to begin their diplomatic sojourn in the Gambia. The new Malaysian ambassador to the Gambia has expressed her willingness to work with the Gambia government in strengthening not only the bilateral cooperation, but providing support in key areas of development, one of which is the education sector.
Malaysia provides technical assistance to the Gambia through the Malaysian Technical Cooperation Program, and we are committed in promoting and also providing assistance to the Gambia in the near future. Another area that we also tend to pursue is also on education. There are, to our records, more than 50 Gambian students studying in Malaysia, and we hope that the numbers would increase in the future.
For the Israel diplomat, the Gambia and Israel have had excellent relations over the past, and his coming to the country will serve as a way of further fortifying it, as he has priority areas of focus, which is supporting the development of the agricultural sector.
There are a lot of things that I'd like to develop. I think I need to learn a little bit more about Gambia before we go further. I met with the foreign minister. I met now with the vice president and a number of members of the government. I think there's a lot of things we can do. We've got things in common, Israel and Gambia. We both come from difficult pasts and have had to pick ourselves up and build futures. We've done that. We've got this, in particular in the area of agriculture, we've got knowledge and know-how that we'd like to share. And we have done in the past. We're looking to do more of that into the future.
They have expressed their readiness to work with the Gambia, just as the previous ambassadors who earlier presented their letters of credence did. This will serve as a milestone to further strengthen the cooperation between the Gambia and her partners, thus contributing to the development efforts of the country. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Aissatou Keita.
The Gambia has launched the UNDP 2015 Human Development Report. The flagship report, entitled Work for Human Development, focuses on the broader and deeper notion of work and people's full participation in society. Louis Mendy reports.
Work for Human Development was a theme for the UNDP's 2015 Human Development Report. Though the document acknowledges that progress has been made globally in advancing human development, it also indicated that significant human deprivation still persists and huge human potentials still remain untapped. The report suggested that solutions to the global challenge in human development could be derived from innovative policies and institutional reforms that foster good relationship between work and human development. One such innovation is that which brings employment back to the center of the development discourse.
Full and productive employment and decent work for all is a central theme of the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goal 8, which explicitly emphasize on work. And I read, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all.
For the Gambia to sustain the global challenge in human development, the report suggested greater inclusion of women and youth in the work.
The 2015 Human Development Report comes at a time of major changes in the world of work, affecting when, how, and where people work. We see in the developed countries a dramatic increase of the aged, while developing countries are grappling with significantly bulging youthful population. By 2050, the number of people older than 60 will be, for the first time in history, equal to those younger than 15.
The document also emphasized that when employment is in the national plan, as in the case of the Gambia, resources need to be provided to ensure employment creation.
Work helps people escape from poverty. It can also help forge stronger communities, develop skills, and give people a sense of purpose. Work is more than a paycheck. It is a foundation for both the richness of economies and the richness of human lives.
For improved human development in the Gambia, the proposal as encapsulated in the report is that the country should establish a new contract between state, society, and the private sector to improve social protection and ensure that people, especially those in the informal sector, are not left behind. Deepening cooperation between workers, business, and government around the world to craft a global deal to guarantee workers' rights is also necessary. Promoting fair income, security in workplace, and social protection for workers and their families through the decent work agenda of the ILO should also be promoted at country level. But with the Gambia's Decent Country Work Program, the country is already working in that direction.
For the first time, the report focuses on the development of people rather than policies for growth, and I think that is very poignant and important. The report argues that societies urgently need the institutional reforms, access to care services to address these major imbalances in paid and unpaid work. It calls on the government to ensure that we tackle the social norms, which include paid development for the society, and in particular women.
The shift is not just to say we are looking at creating jobs, but the shift is moving forward to see those ingredients, those services that are rendered to develop and help the growth of the human lot.
The Human Development Report thus focuses on the richness of human lives rather than simply the richness of economies, and critical to this process is work. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
APRC regional heavyweights and supporters in the Lower River region recently parted the money given to the region by the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jame Babili Mansa. Famara Fofana reports.
Party mood at the Summer Mini Stadium, where the APRC faithful in the Lower River region gathered for what can be described as a get-together, following the donation of money to the region for that purpose by President Jame Babili Mansa. Among them were 6 different chiefs, Mansa Konko Area Council authorities, the National Assembly member for Kiang East, Honorable Bora Mas, and Lady Councilor Aja Fatunjai Fofana. The event, which has now become a customary affair according to Governor Salif Puy of the Lower River region, bodes well for the ruling party, serving as a platform for unification.
We are here together as one family, members of the party and the members of this country, and we are here to enjoy and then to come together and then to make sure that at least we strengthen the bond of unity among the party militants and then as countrymen.
Aside from party politics, Governor Salif Pui says the event, attended by APRC supporters of different backgrounds, allows for stock-taking as far as national development is concerned. Bora Mas is the National Assembly member for Kiang East constituency.
Make this occasion as a pride and a happy day for the entire region. Because of why? Well before the president comes, we sensitize the whole region, the whole district, and then if the president should give us any token, so that after his departure, we can sit down and then grace one another and thank one another, and then bring friendship in preparation to the coming presidential election. Because we as a region here are well known of being behind His Excellency Professor Dr. Alayi Jambe. So this is a form of a rally, so that each and every individual who is here could carry the message to home that we are hopeful, we are thankful to His Excellency President Professor Dr. Alayi Jambe for his effort.
The Chief of Jara West, Alhaji Yaya Jajusi, was joined by his colleagues Alhaji Demba Sanya of Kiang Central, Alhaji Ansmana Sani of Kiang East, Aja Fatunjai Fofana, and Regional Chairman Mustafa Sabole to return gratitude to the head of state. They recognize the importance of such an event in cementing ties within the ranks of the APRC. They were joined by many others in renewing their loyalty to the APRC and its leadership. Famara Fofana, GRCS.
When completed, it is expected to provide women entrepreneurship with the requirement space to sell their produce and also ensure minimal post-harvest loss. That is how members of the Women Federation envisage their model market being constructed by the Federation. Mama J reports on that important development.
When it is completed, this vast market complex will serve as the ideal home for Gambian women, particularly those involved in trade. The market is being operated by the Gambia Women's Federation, an association of different women groups, among them women gardeners, those in businesses, and even fashion designers. The acting president of the Gambia Women's Federation, Ndai Awakansise, dilated on the project as well as the well-being of the organization.
We come together and then form the federation. But now, if you said federation, consists Gambian women, business women especially. And business women, if they have their products, obviously they need market or shop. So we said, okay, why not we get a land and then build shops? We all come together, network each other, from each other, and then, help each other.
The construction of the market, according to Madam Kansise, is to add value to the Gambia's agricultural products.
The second phase has about 212 shops. The incomplete ones have about 412 shops. So if all those women come together, like 612 women in their shops, in fact, we can even buy from each other, network from each other, help from each other, and share our ideas. So this is like networking, selling your products, marketing your products, and then be together.
For an association with the aim of improving the lives of women, especially those involved in business and agriculture, Madam Kansise stated, the project will be very essential and meaningful to Gambians at large.
The Women Federation consists about 500,000 women, which comprises association members. You have about 50 or 60 associations come together under one roof and form the federation. And the federation consisted about so many business people. Some of them are in the business sector, some of them are in food processing, some of them are in agriculture, some of them are in poultry, some of them are in horticultural. So we have different, we are in different areas, so we all come together.
With the construction and eventual opening of this modern market complex, members of the Gambia Women Federation are hopeful that this development will reduce the prevalence of post-harvest loss, which continues to hamper trade and commerce in the Gambia. Mama J, GRTS.
That report by Mama J takes us to a first break, but we will be back with news from outside the Gambia. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Reports from Turkey say most of the victims of the suicide bombing in Istanbul are German citizens. At least 10 people have been killed, with 15 injured. The bomber targeted the center of the city's tourist district. Authorities have identified the bomber as a 28-year-old Syrian. More in this DWTV report.
The powerful blast struck the heart of Istanbul's historic district before noon. An eyewitness described the carnage.
It was a suicide bomb. I went to the scene. It was chaos. People were running everywhere. The police evacuated the area because they said there was a possibility that a second bomb could go off.
The Sultan Ahmed district is one of Turkey's largest tourist attractions. With its centuries-old architecture, mosques and museums, the area is a big draw for sightseers. The explosion happened at Sultan Ahmed Square, located between two famous landmarks, the Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia Museum. Just hours after the explosion, Turkey's president announced that a suspect had been identified.
I strongly condemn the terror incident in Istanbul's Sultan Ahmed district, believed to be an attack by a suicide bomber with Syrian origins.
The picturesque square is now scattered with bodies and debris. It's not the first time this site has seen bloodshed. 1 year ago, an Islamic State suicide bomber struck a police station for tourists, killing one officer. Violence is on the rise in Turkey as the government aids the international coalition fighting Islamic State. Security forces are also battling Kurdish militants seeking autonomy in Turkey's southeast after a ceasefire collapsed last year.
8 groups in the besieged Syrian town of Madaya are trying to get permission from the government to evacuate more than 400 people they say are at the risk of dying of starvation. A UN convoy carrying food and medicine managed to leave the town for the first time yesterday. Aid workers say more than 20 people have already starved to death. Many more are still seriously ill. We have details in this report.
For many, it was the first bite of solid food they had eaten for weeks. The first trucks loaded with food and blankets have arrived in the rebel-held town of Madaya. The supplies arrived too late for 24 people who are said to have starved to death. I know someone who caught cats, slaughtered them and gave it to his mother, pretending it was rabbit. I know other people who collected their food from the rubbish and some who ate grass. My son has hepatitis and he has to leave. I have a medical report. There are no medication or doctors here. He's had the IV in his hand for 3 days now. The UN says 400 people desperately need to leave as soon as possible, and they'll try to evacuate them if safe passage is assured. The situation in Madaya has caught the attention of the international community, but other towns are just as hard hit. We have managed to get 4 trucks into the rebel-held towns of Al-Fuwa and Kefraya in Idlib province, in addition to Madaya, where we are now, in Damascus province. Rebels fighting President Bashar al-Assad have Madaya under control, but it's been surrounded by government troops and Hezbollah militants for months. The country has become a patchwork of military and political influence, with all sides making allegation against each other.
The information concerning the humanitarian situation in Madaya is based on false information. The reality of the so-called besieged hard-to-reach areas is that some of those areas are controlled by terrorist groups who are using civilians as human shields, and other areas are besieged from the terrorist groups who are preventing the delivery of humanitarian assistance.
Aid organizations say apportioning blame for the hunger is less important than efforts to alleviate it. The UN says 400,000 people are trapped in besieged areas like Madaya, and the UN is struggling to deliver aid to 10 times that number in other hard-to-reach areas.
We take our second break now. The weather report is next. We now join the Weather Center for the day's weather outlook.
The Gambia is endowed with a wonderful landscape full of baobab trees. Like its Cape Point in Bakau, it is one of the most exotic sceneries in the world. The baobab tree is a symbol of resilience, wisdom, and resourcefulness. For the baobab tree provides good food in times of hunger, rents its bark for medications, and its sap for glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects. In know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the weather forecast. A dry and sunny atmosphere affected the country during the past 24 hours. And for the satellite image shows convective clouds over the southern part of Africa, while those over the Gulf of Guinea, Sahel, and northern part of Africa. Tonight, the weather is expected to be variably cloudy and dry during the period. While for the day tomorrow, the weather is expected to be variably cloudy and slightly hazy in the morning, becoming cloudless and warm in the afternoon. Surface wind will be cyclonic and occasionally northeasterlies in direction, and the speed will vary between 5 and 15 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures across the country will be 18 degrees over the Greater Banjul, 17 over West Coast and Upper River region, while 19 over Central, Lower and North Bank region. And for the maximum temperatures will be 32 degrees over the Greater Banjul, 33 over West Coast, 35 over North Bank, 36 over Lower River, 37 over Central, and 38 over Upper River region. And low tide will be 0.2 meters at 6 a.m. and also at 6 p.m. High tide will be 1.6 meters at 12 p.m. Waves will be 1 to 2 meters northwesterly swells. The sun will rise at 7:34 in the morning and set at 5 minutes to 7 in the evening. That's the forecast, and good night.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. More foreign diplomats have arrived at State House to renew their respective governments' diplomatic ties with the Gambia. The Gambia has launched the 2015 United Nations Development Programme report, theme, Work for Human Development, with focus on people's participation in development. A furious Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has said that Turkey is the target for violent extremists after a suicide bomber killed more than 10 people at a busy tourist attraction center in Istanbul. And progress at last. Desperate residents of Syria's besieged town of Madaya breathe a sign of relief as the first UN aid convoy enters the destroyed settlement. Well, viewers, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, WINIFRED, NICOL, and the entire news team, thanks for being there. Enjoy the rest of our programs.